I'll tell you right now, if this does not go well for Georgia, it's going to be a really long 2024. And there's a lot of different things you can talk about in football. You better have a good kicker. You better have this, that, and the other. But with the way that Georgia was flinging the ball around at G-Day, which was planned, I get that part. And the way that they've got the particular quarterback they've got, it's really going to be critical for Georgia to have very good pass protection in 2024. If they don't, it's gonna be tough, okay? I fully expect them to do pretty well at this. I'm just saying, if you look at the way that college football's been lately, J.J. McCarthy, Stetson Bennett, three of the last three, certainly, before you get to what was not a statue at Alabama in 2020, but definitely a pocket guy at Mac Jones. It's been a while since you've had something similar to Mac Jones in the pocket, which is much more what Carson Beck is like. And the way that Georgia's distributing the ball. I mean, you had Dominic Lovett with 10 receptions during G-Day. You're going to see a lot of X-wing fighters at wide receiver. There's a lot of guys, a lot of depth. This is not like it's been in the past. And honestly, there's no injuries coming into this season yet. Bright Bowers, hurt half the year. Ladd McConkey, hurt half the year. Could that happen now? I mean, it could. But right now, it looks like, this is going to be an offense that is increasingly predicated on the pass. I don't think Georgia will ever get out of balance, but increasingly it's going to be more predicated on the pass. So what does that mean? Well, you better make sure that you're protecting the passer. A lot of different nuance here, though. Carson Beck is not Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones, the problem with Mac Jones, he was not mobile. You're going to get to him, you're going to get to him. You got to get to him, but if you got to him, he wasn't escaping. Like, that just didn't happen very often. Beck has more athleticism than Mac Jones. I don't think he has more athleticism than Joe Burrow. Mac Jones and Joe Burrow more similar to the way that Carson Beck has played than the previous three national championship quarterbacks. One of them was the same person, which was Stetson Bennett. Stetson could really hurt you, man, with the run. I mean, he really could hurt you, like, bad. J.J. McCarthy, Carson Beck sure seems like a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. So we have another discussion about that some other time. But if Georgia's offensive line is not giving him the protection he needs, it's going to make for a long season. That said, you can say that about any quarterback. Like, if you're getting touched, if you're getting hit, if you're on the ground, if you're getting disrupted, if you're getting balls tipped, whatever, batted to the ground, then, you've got to protect your quarterback. Everybody knows that. But it seems like it's really more important now because, I don't know who the leading rusher is going to be at Georgia this coming season, but that person probably didn't play a snap at Georgia a season ago. So you're kind of in a position where you're leaning on Carson a lot, man. So that's why I think the offensive line, man, is really important for them to get where they need to go on that front, okay? It's a good offensive line. Ernest Green, really good tackle. You've got a lot of options on that offensive line. We talked about this a lot. Got a lot of longevity with Xavier Truss, and sometimes guys' names escape me off the top of my head, but Tate Ratledge, you are replacing at center a guy who was really good for a long time and I think lost 2 games in his college career or whatever it was. So that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with. But for me, that particular thing has got to be good. Now, I don't think Carson was sacked during G-Day. I don't recall it, so that's a good start to all of this. But I think that is a major thing to keep in mind. Hey, another thing to keep in mind, we still got some double dogs. I just got a new shipment in. Make sure if you want to get the definitive story on Georgia's national championship 2022 run, Double Dogs is your ticket to that. Story about Ohio State in there, you're not going to find it anywhere else. It's reporting that literally no one else got. So make sure you're just that article or that section of the book alone is worth it. The link to that's down below. That was a really good offensive line too. You know, that 22 offensive line was really good. I was mentioning Tate Ratledge. You know, Tate, like 3 plays into the Clemson game in 21, got hurt. This will be the first time he really gets to play against Clemson. That's not as good a defensive front, I don't think, as it was at the time. You have Bresee and all these guys, you know, but it's a good one, and it will give him an opportunity to, you know, hone in his skills. This is a good offensive line. You know, they've not won the Joe Moore Award lately, but they will have their opportunity, to say, hey, man, we are the best offensive line in the country. We can definitively prove that because, you know, we've only given up, just as a number popping up, I mean, we've only given up 12 sacks this season, the regular season. That'd be great. I mean, 12, I mean, that's, David Green survived 40 sacks one year, I think it was. I mean, that was crazy. He couldn't, it was 2003. They could not pass protect. And like, I just think it's really important because of the way it looks like Georgia's going to play. Now, I know Mike Bobo, and I know the way that Mike is. They're going to want to run the ball. Yeah, well, everybody wants to run the ball. And that's a good way to lead to fewer sacks, too, because when the other team doesn't know what you're doing, you know, you don't know if you're getting a fastball or a curve, right? You know, if the ball's going to be a slice or a flat, you know, or top spin, you don't know. And so that's why I think, you know, they're going to want to run the ball, but, you know, I'm just saying that the strength of this team is not necessarily going to be ground and pound. It doesn't look like it. It looks like the strength is we got a really good quarterback, and he can throw it to a lot of really good receivers. Are they, you know, is there a Superman receiver? It doesn't look like it to me. I mean, but it looks like they are extremely deep at receiver in a way that, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, you're losing Marcus and you're losing Ladd, but man, I mean, Ladd was, he never could quite be healthy in 23. And obviously with what happened with Brock, from the Vanderbilt game on, it's a green light. From the Vanderbilt game on, you know, Brock wasn't himself. So Carson didn't get the full array of guys, but man, I tell you what, with the transfer kids that came in, I think off the top of my head, I think the transfers alone had like 10 catches. Young had quite a few. He's been very good in scrimmages. Yeah, Michael Jackson had a productive G-Day as well. You couple that with, I mean, Dylan Bell didn't hardly do anything during G-Day, and Dylan Bell is really good. So you had that, and you had, you know, what Dominic Lovett was the best looking one in terms of production. Yeah, I don't recall a lot. That's a lot of guys after a while. And, you know, the way I didn't mention Arian Smith. Carson missed a very wide open Arian Smith, or at least open Arian Smith. I've seen better G-Days from Carson Beck, I feel like. I mean, like, it felt like he was not quite on his A game. I really don't understand what's so hard about just moving forward when you have a green light. Like, that's not that hard. Like, that's not stopping a pass rush from an elite SEC, you know, edge rusher. It's just a green light. It's not that hard. Like, we do this every single day. It's, you know, come on, man. Like, let's pick it up. But I think if they protect Carson, and the reason why I use X-Wings, like, I'm not like a Star Wars nerd, but when you see all those guys going out, I mean, like, these receivers at Georgia, Young may be a little bit different than the rest of them, but man, they all like sort of like, they are just out there. They all, relatively speaking, look the same, relatively speaking. Like, there's not like a 6'7" guy, you know. Florida State had some guys a year ago that were like, they were all, it seemed like all over the place. Georgia's got, these guys are just, there's so many of them. So that's going to be the thing. Can you protect the whole time in order for Carson Beck to get the ball where he wants to go with it? And it's going to be up to guys. It's going to be up to Green, Truss, that offensive line, Ratledge, all of them are going to have to, get the job done. Wilson, who's going to be the fifth one? I don't know. But, or the eight, who are the 8 offensive linemen? They're all going to have to protect. The thing, I think the situation in most games is going to be the way that the South Carolina women had it in basketball. The first string of these teams are not dissimilar. The top 15 to 20 players on most SEC teams, not all, you could get confused as to who the best of the 20, who the best 10 players are on the team. It's not always Georgia. Then you start to get to the top 45, and there's way more Georgia players. And that's what starts happening is when you put the second team in, there's not a lot of drop-off for Georgia. And on the offensive line, when you got like Fairchild is not, I don't know if Fairchild's starting or not, I don't know. But if Fairchild's not starting, I mean, it's a guy that's really good for them. And if he's a backup, that's all you need to know. So we'll see. And we'll see the younger, I've talked about this a lot. I really like the young offensive line that they just came in at Georgia. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that really like the young offensive line at Georgia. So we don't know really where they're at in terms of usable number of offensive linemen. But my suspicion is it might be higher than I'm talking about right now. We'll see. But if they get that right, I mean, Georgia could be really dangerous as an offense because it looks like they're going to throw it a little bit more than we've gotten used to in the past. And those sort of the way that LSU in 19, the way that Alabama, people forget about that Alabama team. They had two exceptional receivers. Georgia's got like a lot of them, but they had a great running back. Georgia probably doesn't have those pieces. They probably have a better quarterback than Mac Jones, but they don't have those exceptional pieces. That running back at Alabama, Najee Harris, was something else. I don't think they got that, Georgia, but that style of, man, you better watch it because they're going to get that ball out. They're going to watch it. This is not just running the football. This is not, 2017 Georgia where you've got an inexperienced quarterback and you're going to rely on Nick Chubb and Sony Michel and DeAndre. I mean, that's not what this is. This is X-Wing fighters going on out to try to destroy the empire. Let's see if they do it. But a lot of that's going to come down to, is the offensive line doing what they're supposed to do or not? Time will tell. Thanks for watching.